You're listening to the Trade Show Insights Podcast, Season 13, Episode 6. I'm your host and exhibit marketing strategist, Marlis Arnold, bringing you tools to improve your exhibit results. On today's episode, brought to you by the Exhibit Marketers Cafe, our special guest is talking about how, contrary to popular belief, direct mail is not dead. In fact, it has a whole new life, especially as it relates to trade show exhibiting in the 21st century. Our guest today is going to share with us some insights as far as how to use direct mail in conjunction with trade shows, and it is not the old-fashioned tool that you might think it is. It's definitely come into the 21st century. So welcome to Gina Danner, who is the CEO of NextPage, which is formerly known as Mailprint, which is how I still think of it a lot of times just because I've known Gina for a very long time. So, Gina, thank you very much for being here today as a guest on Trade Show Insights.
Thanks so much, Marlis. And Mailprint was a great company, and NextPage is even a better company.
I know. Talk about coming into the next century. You guys have really done a lot of really cool things. And I want to start out by talking about why direct mail is still a relevant tool. I think a lot of people think that it's old-fashioned, but it really isn't. And it has some great advantages over electronic media. So why don't we start there and just kind of talk about how direct mail has evolved and why it's still relevant.
Well, thank you, Marlis. One of the things that I hear on a constant basis and I fight is the perception that direct mail is dead. And it, dollar for dollar, direct mail actually outperforms digital marketing. But when we're able to do use some of the new techniques and technologies, we're able to even drive response rates more significantly, no matter the avenue. And when you think about the dollars that are spent on the trade show floor or getting to the trade show floor, direct mail is a great enhancement, one, to engage visitors before and after the show.
Well, exactly. And like you said, it is a great tool to use in conjunction with other things. So let's talk a little bit about what some of those, I guess we would say, blended strategies are now.
Yeah. Well, I think, first of all, we have to acknowledge the elephant in the room, or what I call the elephant in my inbox. I don't know about you, but my inbox probably has 1,000 or more messages in it, probably lots more than 1,000, and some of them are even unread. And I think that's what we have to make sure that people understand is just because you've sent an email doesn't mean that it's engaged anyone. What's nice about email is that you get an instant gratification of knowing that somebody, quote unquote, opened it. But you don't have engagement until they click, and you don't have true interaction until they fill out a form, purchase, or anything to that extent. But what is really good about direct mail is I don't know about you, but I get about 4 pieces of mail a day. And so I actually physically interact with each one of those mail pieces.
Yes, definitely.
So when we start thinking about how to blend digital marketing and physical marketing, we then start to see using the digital marketing for brand impressions and reminders, and we use the direct mail for the credibility factor and I need to make sure and deal with this. And when you can use them together in an elegant manner, you actually see some phenomenal response rates. I mean, off the charts, solid, much more than either one individually.
Well, exactly, because the direct mail, like you said, gets their attention, and then they're more likely to interact with the digital marketing as well.
Correct. And everybody tries to attribute their marketing dollars and a sale, or to attribute the sale to one channel of marketing. And what we're seeing now is those dollars, it doesn't work that way anymore, because people are, the way that they buy has completely changed. And it's important that we create a full strategy to get people engaged, to educate them, and help them make the purchase. And it's not one size fits all, or one channel fits all, or one channel even fits most. It truly is the avenue of using the dollars at the right point in time in the sales cycle, and making sure that whether it's direct mail or email or whatever it happens to be, it's used for the right reason.
Well, exactly. And like you said, it takes that multiple touch. It's not just a one, even with direct mail, it's not a magic bullet where you send one piece of direct mail and then they're going to automatically respond. It's a constant, dripping and multi-channel marketing strategy. And that's where trade shows are another piece of that strategy. So that's why I always like to talk about direct mail in conjunction with trade shows, because I think people, whether it's the exhibitors or the show organizers, they tend to get so focused on, just one avenue or one aspect and forget that there's all these other tools out there, and, why not use them?
Absolutely. I mean, I always think it's interesting is we work with a lot of folks who do trade shows on a regular basis, and the conversation usually starts something to the effect of, hey, we've got a show coming up and we want to do a mailing. And I'm like, okay, well, before we go out and design and execute a one-time mailing, let's figure out a strategy that makes sense to achieve your show goals. Because in that instance, the show itself, exhibiting there, the sponsorship, getting the trade show booth ready to go, staff to the venue, and all the elements there, that is such a costly item that we need to make sure and use pre-show and post-show and during shows tactics that deliver across the board on the strategy. So, if you're spending $50,000 or $100,000 or whatever the budget is, or $10,000 for a small booth, you have to make sure you have a good, solid strategy, and it doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg, but it's got to come together. And when it comes together, it's amazing.
And that's true. And I love that there are tools now available to, as you mentioned earlier, to personalize direct mail. Can we talk a little bit about that? What are some of the ways that, and we're not talking like an old form letter where it just like, Dear Susie, but there are so many other ways to really make that direct mail capture their attention. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Well, let's pretend for a second that we've got a show coming up that targets a variety of individuals or a variety of types of companies, and we'll just pretend there's 3 or 4 different categories that you're going to and attend at this show. Maybe it's a medical conference and you're going to have doctors and nurses and administrative personnel there. If we have data points, meaning titles or credentials or what tracked individuals are on, we can then create a direct mail postcard or a direct mail self-mailer or a letter package that then can target individuals based on what tract of information they are likely to be most interested in, or we talk to them in a way that is relevant to who they are. So if it's about doctors, then we can talk to them about the particular care efforts that we're going to and what they need to know and what they're going to be most interested in taking care of patients. If we're talking to administrators, we can talk to them about the value and the bottom line efforts, along with those patient care elements that an administrator works on. And if we're talking to educators in the medical field, then we can talk about how the company or the exhibitor provides educational opportunities to extend the message. So it's really about understanding who the audience is and then ensuring that we have data points so we can personalize the images. And we're not talking about the form letter personalization. We're talking about relevant graphic images, full color items that are very dynamic so that you actually create a mail piece for the individual. And what's awesome about that is the research shows is when we talk to somebody about things that they're interested in, then we are more likely to get them engaged and convert them to a customer because they appreciate knowing that we as marketers know them and are speaking to their hot buttons.
Exactly. Well, and when they're looking at that piece of mail, it's like, wow, it's like this was written just for me. You know, they're talking just to me. Well, what they don't know is essentially it really was tailored just
for them. It really was just to you. It really was. Or this company really gets me and what I have to deal with in my job or in my world. And so the more data that show sponsor or show organizers can help collect and then help their sponsors or their exhibitors utilize that data in a relevant manner, the better the show's going to be for the exhibitors, for the organizers, and for the attendees.
Exactly.
So it's really about a strategy that starts at the show organizer level and then works its way all the way down to through the exhibitors to the attendees. There is huge opportunity in the space to really enhance the trade show experience.
Right, right. Well, and then there's also the ability to, as you mentioned, cross over from the direct mail piece into the digital marketing. Can we talk a little bit about that, how that bridges together?
Absolutely. On the most basic element, we actually can physically track the mail as it's going through the mail stream and deliver an email within a day or two of the mail piece getting delivered. That becomes a very cool kind of, check your mailbox, or you can have the digital conversation close to the point in time when you have the direct mail or when your recipient has the direct mail in hand. Well, what else we can do is there's some technology that we use that actually takes the physical address of the recipient, and we can target them and deliver online ads as they are going through their normal use of the Internet. And these are not cookie-based ads. These are ads that are actually relevant to that recipient based on the IP address that they are searching from.
Interesting.
So it becomes, and there's some strategy, a fair amount of strategy that goes into this technology. But when we're able to do that, and let's say that we know the mail piece is going to get delivered around the 10th of the month and the show's on the 25th of the month, and we want to make sure and drive people to our booth, we can get our direct mail piece delivered on the 10th. We can then deliver 15 to 20 ads, ad impressions between the 10th and the 25th of the month, so that when those individuals hit the show floor, they've got a good brand impression of your organization, and it's just one more way that really solidifies their desire to stop by your booth.
Wow.
And if you have the strategy collectively planned out, then you can actually get real engagement from them.
Well, and that creates the whole, wow, I see you guys everywhere mentality.
Yes, exactly. And so our real key then is working with our show organizers to help them understand the data that we want to try to collect so that we can better create the experience for the exhibitors and for the attendees.
Right. Right. And like you said, that works both pre-show and post-show too.
Absolutely. So the next avenue is, let's pretend that the show organizer isn't able to collect a lot of data ahead of time, because we all know that people make their decisions to attend a trade show later and later. So so that creates some headaches for us. But if we have a show that's happening next week, let's pretend, we can put a frame around the show, and this is different than geofencing, but we can identify the location of the show, let's say Bartle Hall here in Kansas City, and we can collect the device IDs of people who are attending the show. We can deliver ads to them while they're at the show and following the show, and we can even then capture a certain percentage of them and direct mail them after the fact. And that is all from just tracking mobile devices.
Wow. Wow, the technologies that are out there now are just mind-blowing.
Aren't they, though? They are. And what's nice about that technology is that there are no cookies involved, and it meets all the typical privacy concerns and how we execute on that data. But it's a tremendous avenue for truly engaging your recipients or your target audience, because if somebody's going to a trade show about something in particular that you sell, then they are interested in receiving additional information from suppliers across the board.
Well, and it's not that different from, you walk near the vicinity of a restaurant and that restaurant beams something to your phone, because of geolocation. So it sounds like it's very similar technology.
It's similar technology. The difference is on a geolocation element, you've had to opt in to receive notices from that restaurant, correct? Okay. On the technology I'm talking about, you don't have to opt in. We just were able to put a frame. I don't call it a fence because it is different than geofencing, but this frame around an exhibit hall or a stadium or any sort, a concert venue. And so what we see a lot of times and what we're able to help exhibitors and businesses do is identify their personas and then reach that target audience beyond just the trade show so that they're sure that they engage with that persona or that individual. Right.
But they were actually at the show because that's how they actually got into the pool, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And because we are so connected to our phones, we have the opportunity to have a real conversation with an individual.
Again, going back to that personalization.
Exactly. So, and then
Gina,
once we've done that, we can create the online and offline experience, so it is highly personalized.
Right. And like we said, that's one thing that really sets the whole direct mail and multi-channel mailing apart, because you do have that capability to be very personalized. So, Gina, do you have any other examples for us of some very creative trade show marketing campaigns that you've worked with?
Well, one company that we're working with, their target audience was donated to a particular charity. And so they were able to identify the charity's annual big event. And they did a sponsorship for that charity. And then for their event, that was being attended by their high-valued prospects, we were able to work with the charity, with the business, and create a campaign that brought about 500 new prospects into their pool.
Wow.
And so they're still working through that, but they've landed 2 new contracts that they can attribute the introduction from their collective sponsorship of the charity as well as their marketing that went to engage those folks.
Wow. That's a very creative way to approach a new audience.
And we have another home improvement company that regularly attends home improvement shows, so they're targeting consumers to sell their product. And what we're able to do is, because they don't ever know who's going to attend the home show in Wichita, we're able to put geoframes around the venue. We are able to capture people and deliver ads to help drive traffic to the booth. And then what we're also able to do is deliver ads for the 2 weeks after someone has been there. After someone showed that, so they're getting ads for those 2 weeks. And then they will receive a piece of direct mail. And that direct mail offer is very rich. So they have day of show offers, and then as the ads start going and they're tracking what people are doing on the website and what information they're downloading, if they haven't converted, the longer it goes, the richer that offer becomes. And before they say goodbye to that prospect, they've made their last-ditch effort to try to get them to engage.
Wow. So well, and that definitely makes a lot of sense for a consumer show to do the framing, like you said, because they don't really have an attendee list to work from.
No.
Well, very cool. It is exciting to hear all the new tools and strategies that are out there now, and I think that you've definitely demonstrated that direct mail is not what most people think it is, and there's so many other possibilities. So, Gina, what's the best way if somebody is interested and wants to get in touch and find out more about what NextPage can do?
Well, our web address is gonextpage.com, GONEXTPAGE.com, and they're welcome to visit there. We have a number of forms they can fill out. They can do research on direct mail or trade shows and how we support them there, or they're welcome to give me a call. Our number is 816-459-8404. and just ask for Gina Danner.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being a guest today and sharing all of what's new and what's coming in creative marketing strategies for not only just for trade shows, but for all kinds of direct marketing as well. So anyway, thank you very much, Gina. We appreciate you being here today.
Thanks so much, Marlis.
Want more tips and tools for your exhibit marketing? Check out the free resources available from the Exhibit Marketers Cafe. Simply go to tradeshowinsights.com and click on Free Resources to discover toolkits, webinars, and more, including a link to sign up for the Trade Show Tips online monthly e-zine. Trade Show Insights is protected by the Creative Commons copyright license. You may feel free to share this recording with colleagues or embed it on your own blog as long as it's shared in its entirety and is not used for commercial purposes. To learn more, please see the link in the sidebar of the show notes at tradeshowinsights.com. Well, that's it for this episode of Trade Show Insights. Be sure to check out our show notes and archives at tradeshowinsights.com. You can also connect with me using the social media links or the contact page on the site. I'm Marlis Arnold. Thanks for listening, and be sure to join us next time for more tools to improve your exhibit results.